Hey, welcome to AI Talks, episode 13. This episode is with an emphasis on the skills that will be replacing marketing degrees and careers in the future with AI. And I'm super excited about today's episode here today. And, today's guest is someone whose journey blends both that creative storytelling with that analytical precision, and I'm very excited to have you on today. We have Eric Steeves. Thank you so much for being on today.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Kaiser. So
Awesome.
I'm the CMO at GenAIx, and I'm excited to be here too. I haven't done one of these in a bit. So let's jump into it. It's going to be kind of high level. We may get a little granular in some spots about how AI intersects with marketing, where it is today, and where it's going.
Yes, definitely. I agree. And I do want to start with your specific experience. I do want to start with the fact that you've led marketing in major companies like Verizon and Klaxoon and now GenAIx. Just want to ask about your perspective on marketing and
Sure.
how it's evolved over those experiences.
Yeah, back in the dark ages, those pre-internet years, I was a traditional marketer, and I was seeing companies acquiring other companies. And the first thing that would happen is everyone in HR and marketing of the acquired company would be on the street. So I was trying to think of how can I expand my role and my ability to help the company. So started looking at digital marketing and e-commerce and really started growing into that field, and then demand generation. And it was a really fun movement because I was at that forefront around 2001, 2002, working in
Mhm.
e-commerce when a lot of companies didn't even have uh, carts or checkout or anything like that.
Right.
So to be able to be on that journey going forward, it was super fun.
From when you say on the street, do you mean like marketing as in like door to door, like just mainly completely in person, cold calling, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it was creating flyers and
Yeah.
print and those sorts of things. And then that morphed into creating the websites and landing pages and email and then all the content for that. And then trying to figure out how to push people down the funnel, whether it was demand gen or click purchase e commerce. And we were
Right.
creating that on the fly because no one had really done it before.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I think it's all about adapting here. And
Yeah.
uh, just from curiosity, just from me, like I like hearing about this. I wanted to ask you like how is it that constantly when I even my experience in marketing when it comes to GenAIx, there's been so much change, so much adapting that I've had to do with everything that comes at me. I just wanted to ask you how do you manage adapting all the time when
Yeah,
it comes to strategies?
that's the tough part because a lot of times you're on that hamster wheel doing your day to
Yeah.
day and you don't have time to stop and plan about what you want to be doing 6 months from now or a year from now. So, one key takeaway I learned early is you have to break away and sometimes let your day to day things stack up and do the project planning that will allow you to grow. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck there.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing, especially when you have demands and bosses who are saying, hey, we got to get these things out the door. And you have to have those hard conversations sometimes. If we're still doing that today, we're going to be still doing that tomorrow. We have
Yep.
to make a master plan and figure out where we want to be and how we can automate and make things more efficient, or we're not going to create an impact to the company and create those big jumps in revenue.
Awesome. I completely agree. I think that's key. Planning everything out, looking at that bigger picture. And AI can help you with that. I think nowadays it's very easy to use AI for that as well. So there really is it's a lot easier now to
Yeah.
do that. But I now I want to kind of focus on the Gen AX part of your career. I want to ask you about what drew you to that intersection of AI and marketing now. What drew you to that?
Yeah, sure. As I was talking about just a moment ago, I always want to be in the forefront of technology as it relates to marketing. Because if you're not, you're actually just pushing yourself away from the epicenter of business. And with AI, it allows you to be so much more efficient. And you're talking about cost savings for time, but then your schedule gets freed up. So now you can do additional projects and campaigns that you wouldn't have been able to get to previously. And I'll talk about that a little further down the line.
Sure, of course. I want to ask more about Gen AX. I want to ask you about that founding mission. What gap do you aim to fill in this market?
Sure. So I feel really lucky that I see this as the third revolution in my career.
Yeah.
So initially, it was the internet. And most companies, believe it or not, didn't want a website, didn't need a website, had no idea what they would do with it. And then thought, well, everyone's getting a website, so we have to have a website. And they just prop something up and really weren't invested and didn't see how that could help their business. It seems crazy today, but in 1998, 99, that's what was happening.
Right.
And most companies, certainly smaller businesses, didn't have a website. And then obviously the tidal wave came and people started really realizing that.
Yeah.
The second revolution was identical. It was social media. And it was a fun thing across the board. Companies didn't want to be involved in social media. It's never going to help my business. It is certainly never going to help me with revenue or brand identity or anything like that. I actually fought with a board of a company I was working with because they refused to have any presence on social media. And the big scary monster was, what if somebody says something bad about us? And I
Hmm.
said, that's good, because
Hmm.
if they say something bad about us, a product or customer service or one of our processes, it's probably true. And this will alert us to that fact, and then we can fix it. And if we respond quickly in front of that entire community, then that community is going to realize that we actually care about our customers and we're not just big company trying to drive revenue. And that's a good thing. And finally, I was able to launch social media platforms at that company and create probably about 2 dozen different companies throughout my career, creating the social media presence for them. And it's really fun, and you get to see how quickly it can grow. Not everything is all rosy. There's bad
Hmm.
things, and
Yeah.
sometimes there's things that are really tough to fix, and you have to navigate those waters. And now the third revolution is again that same thing, AI. Well, we don't really need this. About 2 years ago, companies started thinking, all right, well, maybe we can use it for writing emails. And then it's growing from there. And now that third tidal wave is coming. And if you're not out in front of it, you're you're going to get left behind.
Mm. I love that. I love that. I couldn't agree more. I do. I enjoy you talking about that social media, that social media bridge, and like
Yeah.
how different that was. And I mean, obviously AI. We're still in AI. It's changing every
Yeah.
day, so that has a different kind of scope. But with social media, I think that's a very interesting take about how companies are kind of scared that about the bad publicity. But we've always heard bad publicity, good publicity. Any publicity is good for the company, depending on
Yeah.
how you respond, though, right?
Sure.
Uh, and it's all about how you look at things. That's
That's
interesting,
absolutely true.
bro.
It seems really just talking about this today, which I hadn't really thought about it much before this podcast, but it seems ridiculous that companies didn't want websites and they didn't think social media was going to have any impact on their business. But
Yeah.
that was how it launched.
Mhm. It takes that big leap. Like, I mean, obviously no risk, no reward. But
Yeah.
what just out of curiosity, what do you see? What social media channels do you see businesses kind of starting off with when they don't have any of that that experience? Like, where do you see
Yeah.
that they'll start?
The first toe in the water is LinkedIn because that's safe.
Right.
Very businessy. It's all business. And then
It's all
once that
changing now, though.
starts
I think
going,
that that's also a different conversation. Like
yeah.
you're seeing
But
reels
that's
on there. Yeah,
that's like the first foray into it. Okay, if we can get this thing going, that's a safe space. And then
right.
expanding into Facebook, Insta, TikTok, just you want to be on every platform there is. And we don't
Yeah,
know what new platforms are going to be surfacing over the next couple of years.
yeah,
But if you look around at your competitors, wherever they are, you need to be.
mm,
And if you find a platform that they're not in, double down on that one. Because if they're not there, now you can grab the market share for that platform, if you will.
right. And there's so many different ways to do that. So many different channels that you could be capitalizing on, and they're all different ways of making marketing, making content.
Yeah,
Different
for
things
sure.
do well on different channels. So I think even talking about this right now is such a good time to start a company and get into marketing and get into just putting content out there and building something because there's so many different channels now as of when like you were saying, it was door to door and it was posters on poles and it was going to the subway and you'll see your poster up there, something like that. I mean, that still works. I was doing that in college I mean,
Yeah,
because obviously when there's that kind of, everybody's in one space, like, I don't know, New York City or, a college campus, you can kind of, bank on that as well. But for the broader global or national or even like citywide, statewide, if you want to get people, um, it's all digital, it's all AI, it's all social media. That's what
yeah,
every
for sure.
single channel should be looked at.
I agree.
Going back to that shift, I do want to ask you again about that shift from traditional marketing to AI driven strategies. How would you describe that shift?
Yeah, and this is a really fascinating piece as well. So I think at a high level, first let's define what AI marketing is. We all have an understanding of it, but let's dig a little bit deeper here. So AI marketing obviously uses artificial intelligence when you're trying to complete or plan or execute marketing activities and goals. Additionally, AI marketing can use capabilities like data collection, data driven analysis, NLP or natural language processing, and machine learning to gather those customer and audience insights at a much more efficient and faster rate than you ever could alone. And AI uses these strategies to look, it can look different from company to company, obviously, but depending on what your needs and goals are, your industry, employee skills, and other factors, it can be tailored very specifically. So, AI marketing, all things considered, is still a relatively new concept. So, it's understandable if some folks watching this are unsure where to start. So, probably a good place to start is at the bottom. Just some quick high level pros and cons. And I would say the pros of AI marketing are efficiency, cost savings, innovation, to be able to remain competitive, and then customer churn analysis. And some of those are obviously obvious, like efficiency and cost savings. You're getting a lot more done, which allows you to get more done. And as you become more efficient, you're getting more of that work done in fewer hours, which saves time and effort, but also frees up that saved time to be implemented in new other campaigns and initiatives. And with innovation, you can use a vast database of collected information that you can leverage to help develop those new concepts and ideas, maybe ones that you had not even had on your radar or thought about. And that is a big thing, because anyone can create content. The hard part is determining what content to create. And to be able to remain competitive, as we talked about previously, all your competitors are going pretty fast and hard at this. So it's important to quickly take advantage of these new tools to keep up with your competition and hopefully stay ahead of them, because they're going full speed ahead, trust me. Another really important part of this is customer churn analysis. And most marketers understand fully that to gain a new customer is much more expensive and time consuming than retaining a current customer. That's why keeping an eye on customer churn is crucial. Now, luckily, AI can make churn predictions automated. So AI tools consider factors about your customers such as NPS scores, feedback, comments, engagement, and then can assign a customer with a level of risk for churn. So once that happens, now you can, as a marketer, actively target those high risk accounts or customers, hopefully trying to keep them on board and satisfy whatever pain points they have, rather than just throwing a dart at a dartboard and have a drip campaign going out to everybody that's the same. And that's a really high level. I mean, you could talk for a week about the value of AI, but we don't have a week, so we're going to try to move this along. Cons of AI marketing. And some of these are real and some are perceived, okay? So if you look at it from, again, a high level, you have privacy and ownership issues, lacking creativity, biases and inaccuracies, and advertisement analysis. So again, those probably seem pretty straightforward, but with privacy and ownership issues, AI tools typically learn by scouring and analyzing public information from the internet. So as a result, there's been some issues around AI privacy and ownership. So when you create something using an AI tool, it's really essential to understand if you own the final product or you're giving over the data and input you share for the AI tool to save and repurpose. That's a really important part, especially if you have a new product launch that's coming out and you're trying to keep that a secret until it goes live. You want to keep your intellectual property safe. Goes without saying. Lacking creativity. Sometimes everything can just run on the same loop and not have that human spark. So that's something that needs to be managed, and I'll talk more about that later. So biases and inaccuracies. Obviously AI isn't perfect. It's trying to get there, and it'll be interesting to see where it is in 5 years. But right now, AI can't tell whether information is inaccurate or biased. So it could produce a final outcome with issues like that. Quality is always to be at the forefront. So if that output could simply be wrong or badly misplaced, it's a little jarring, because when AI gets something fundamentally incorrect, now that calls into question everything else it's putting out. So it has to require a close review. The number one rule should always be to QA your own use of AI in developing those creative assets and content to prevent that sort of thing happening. Because if someone's seeing your content and they see a mistake, they're gone. They're not coming back. Because if they see one thing that's fundamentally wrong, they're just going to keep moving, thinking everything else is going to be off as well. With advertisement analysis, obviously digital ads can be costly, and AI-powered tools like Levity can predict an ad's performance before it's even launched. So that allows you to improve your ads without burning through your marketing spend. It's called social listening. A large part of marketing is maintaining a solid brand image for the company. And social listening tools have been around for a while, but these platforms track and alert you anytime your company has been mentioned or tagged online. But with the integration of AI into this, it's really cool. So now you can use AI to understand the tone and intent of what's being said, as well as get recommendations on how to respond, when to post, who to collaborate with, and so forth. So I guess the basic takeaway from these pros and cons is you really have to use AI in a smart way, not just set it and let it run its course. When it's used correctly, it can really help a business save money, increase their outputs, and foster creativity. But you have to remember that your competition is probably already exploring or using AI marketing platforms. So the time to start this is now. And we'll talk about that game in a bit.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that pros and cons. In your opinion, do the pros outweigh the cons?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
There you go.
Because
Yeah,
most of those cons are easily controllable.
yeah, definitely. Do you think you see the cons? I mean, obviously, the biggest con that I think, in my opinion, is ethics. I think that's just the biggest thing that needs to be
Yeah.
addressed and it needs to be, controlled in the future. We are seeing new roles as like an AI ethics programmer, AI ethics, roles that are coming out there. Um, when do you see that I mean, once the ethics, issue is covered, do you think that um do you think that we're all set to kind of like you think businesses will be using AI at a different level than they are right now?
Yeah, I think it's only going to expand and grow, and there's going to be platforms that will go live that no one's even imagined yet.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, there's always going to be black hats doing nefarious things, trying to win. But I think most companies are realizing that, you know, today you really got to play by the rules and use these guidelines to help direct all of your content creation and growth.
yep, yep, definitely, I agree. And now I want to go into back to school. I want to go to college. I want to understand your opinion on marketing degrees. In your view, do you believe that these traditional marketing degrees are less relevant now, or do you think that um, there's something to be learned here in college from that?
Yeah, I would say it's not 1985 where you need that marketing degree to get a job. I think it's important to learn how to learn. So, right now, today, I would say you probably still want to get that bachelor's degree for a bunch of different reasons. One, it allows you to learn how to learn, but also you're going to be picking up things that you didn't know you were missing. And your interactions with professors and students and other technologies, those are all important things. That said, AI is creating this entire new path. And you could get by without any degrees today if you really know what you're doing in AI. But one of the things you have to understand is it's a complicated process right now. When you're applying for a job, you have to check that box. Do you have a bachelor's? Yes. Do you have a master's? Yes. And if you're not checking those boxes, an AI tool is probably going to screen you right out of that interview process.
Yep.
So I think down the road, it's going to be changing and not as necessary as it now. So I would say now you would need both. Check the box and get that degree, but then all of your future learning focus needs to be technology and AI.
Yep.
Hope that makes sense.
No, definitely that makes perfect sense. I think that's the right way to go. You can use this as a supplemental thing. AI,
Right.
you can use GenAIx courses, you can use AI courses that you find online. These are supplementary. These are not main things that you can do. The only main things that you can do is kind of, I guess, making your own kind of content, building your own businesses, and then doing marketing for that. That's huge, I think, nowadays, especially when we're seeing with this job market. Um, you have to stand out. You have to stand out, and then using these AI courses is definitely a great way to supplement your resume.
And
Um,
and over the last couple of years, there's been a real re-understanding of formal secondary education, going to
yeah,
college. I go to a big school. It's going to cost me $300,000, and I'm a
right.
teacher, and I might be paying off my student loans for the rest of my career.
Yeah,
Things like that have really turned our perception of the need for that. If you
yeah,
look at the trades with plumbers, electricians, carpenters, a lot of those folks are getting out of high school, going to a trade school. They're out in 6 months, intern, making money, and in a year and a half, they have 6 trucks and they have a great life and no student loans. So, why would you go get your poli sci degree from Harvard if you can go in a different direction?
yeah.
So I think it's going to be an interesting roller coaster over the next 5 to 10 years to see where this goes. And the importance of that bachelor's degree, I think, is going to be greatly diminished.
Yes, as the prices go up, right? That I definitely agree with that. I
Yeah,
think it's kind of unreasonable I mean, it's not even kind of. It's unreasonable where it is right now.
yeah.
And like you said, learning to trade. You said 6 trucks, man. That's a look. 6 trucks. Have you seen like people that go
Oh,
into
yeah.
like the trade business, getting. And this is
Ab-
early. This is early. This is a couple months into that, and then that's it. Making money.
yeah, just listen to Mike Rowe for a few seconds online. He's
Micro.
been talking about this for years.
Okay.
Um, he's the guy from Dirty Jobs, and he set up a couple foundation of trying to get people to go into the trades
Mhm.
because we really need all of those folks. But everyone wants to be an influencer and not be a carpenter.
Right. And I think that's funny to say because I feel like that was the complete opposite of like the digital revolution where everyone was like, "This is what you got to get into now," and I think
Right.
now we will see that change back in a way to how it was
Absolutely.
before. It's all just a
Yeah.
circle.
So you need both
Right.
right now.
Definitely. Okay, so now let's get into skills. I think now we understand that supplementing your resume is the greatest thing, is the best thing you can do as a marketing major. Now, what AI related skills do you say someone should consider to learn first?
Sure. So there's a million, but if you're just starting, I would say there's three that you should get really proficient at. And using AI to write copy, video editing, and then acquiring customer and audience insights.
Right. That's right copy, video editing, and then customer insights.
Yep.
Perfect, perfect. And why do you say right copy? Why is that a big one for you?
Because if you have to sit down at your dock and start from scratch and create a landing page or an email or whatever content piece it is, that's going to take you anywhere from 15 minutes to 3 hours. And you have a kind of idea of what you're going to do, where now you can put in some prompts, get your output, and now that first draft is done in seconds. And now
Yeah,
you just have to go back in and edit it. It's as if I created a content piece myself and then handed it to you, and now you start on it.
yeah,
That's a huge time savings.
yep,
And
definitely.
same with video editing, and the audience insights allows you to tailor that content.
Yes, definitely. I agree. And then going into that, going into you personally, I think in which ways do you use AI as a CMO as your for your decision making?
Sure. So effective marketing is needs to be strategic and powered by data. You can't just invest in marketing tactics based on a gut feeling and hope they work, even if you've been in the industry for a long time. You want marketing that impacts your business. So you have to use the data and insights that you have to develop those campaigns and support your decisions of why you're going to do what you're going to do. And I've always told everybody that works with me, for me, or above me, even if I know in my bones if something's going to work or not, I'm going to get the data to validate that. And then we launch the campaign, and then we review and validate whether it worked or not. And then
Yep.
the iterations go on from there. You have to use data.
Yep, definitely. I do want to touch on that last point there. There still is that human assisting, that human intuition that's needed
Yeah,
for doing the AI campaigns for executing these campaigns. And what balance do you see between that human intuition and that AI assisted decision making?
sure. Right now, it's at about a 75-25. So for content creation, we can use AI to do about 75% of the work, but the last 25% is the most important. And that's the QA and understanding of what was just given in output.
Definitely. So 75-25.
Yeah.
How where do you see that in the future? Do you see those numbers changing in the future?
Yeah. As the tools improve and people become more skilled at this, let's say QA or edit phase, that number is going to be shrinking. It'll get
Okay.
10. I don't know if it's going to get in short term tighter than that. I hope
Okay.
not, because then the machine is just running and no
Right.
one's really paying attention. And that's where things,
That's that fear. That's the
it could
fear.
go off the rails.
That's the fear. I think people are using it 100-0. I
Yeah,
think
that's a bad thing. Don't do that.
yes, especially I see a lot of that for video stuff, especially with this
Yeah,
new Sora update, with all this content that I'm seeing that is, that little Sora watermark is there, and it's like, you know, LeBron in like, the 19 like 50s, like, like stuff like that, or it's like, footage of the Library of Alexandria getting burned. Like it's
yeah,
uh it's crazy. But you can obviously tell that that's 100-0. That's no human intuition. That's just somebody going in there, putting
yeah.
something into an AI, straight, getting that content out.
Where
And
we're at today is you should be using AI to create topics or ideas, a general outline, a starting point for a piece. But
yeah,
from there, it's really essential that a human inspects, edits, reworks the piece to make sure it's aligned with your business's branding and messaging. And you can use ChatGPT in writing to produce faster, but then again, you get a review.
yep, yep, definitely. Could you share an instance where an AI based insight that like challenged your expectations?
Yeah, there's been a bunch. A lot of times with images, if you zoom in really close on a person's face, the eyes look really strange and weird.
Uh,
Most people don't do that, but you got to be aware of that. But probably the first one that freaked me out a little bit is I was creating an image for a landing page and had people on it. And the image had a person that had 6 fingers on each hand. And when you first look at it, you don't notice, but then something's not right and your brain catches it and you're not sure what's wrong. And then when you see that, it, it's off putting.
yeah. Oh, I bet. There's those little things. It's like the eyes being like moving weird in videos, and it's like you said, 6 fingers and like a picture you can't really see it, but if you look closely, you can see it.
Yeah,
And I'm glad that we're in the time now where, like, there's mistakes and there's human correction needed, there's human intuition needed. But at the rate that it is changing, there could be a time, there's definitely going to be a time where, like, it just gets it right.
yeah,
And there's no real way that you can kind of see past it. And that's where ethics comes in. That's where we really need ethics. We need ways to, you know, take responsibility, take know where things come from, especially if it's AI. Understand what's AI, what's not AI. Who's to blame if something goes wrong? If AI creates something crazy or unethical or inappropriate, those issues are now coming to light. And I want to ask you, how should these business leaders approach that question of ethics when it comes to
sure.
implementing these AI systems in business?
And this is an important one. So, a data governance strategy for responsible AI outcomes should be the forefront of your agenda. And as different countries are developing new AI regulations, much like spam laws in EU, in Europe, differ from the United States and so forth, it's going to have AI regulations differing by region. And if you're a global company, now it's going to be critical to utilize a cloud native data platform that aids in the de-risking of all these initiatives. And that's going to help you stay compliant within all of these emerging frameworks. And again, this is going to be constantly evolving. So pay attention, keep learning.
Definitely, definitely, I love that. So, in your opinion, for AI professionals that are looking to integrate their AI into their work, what are some of those easy entry points for someone to kind of get into the space when when it's probably seems overwhelming for people to get into the AI space? Where do you think people should start?
That's an easy one. Get a subscription with GenAIx and learn and learn and learn. Then implement those learnings within your company and just do small bite size as you can fit it into your work schedule. And that is going to be your easiest entry point.
Now I want to get into the just to kind of dumb things down and kind of focus on three areas, three AI tools that you believe that every marketer should have this year. What are those top three for you?
Sure. So there's obviously a lot of AI tools out on the market. I'm not going to list them all here. If I don't name your tool, don't get mad at me because we're trying to move this along fairly quickly. But obviously, for content creation, you could use ChatGPT or Jasper AI. For SEO and content optimization, Surfer SEO or Market Muse. For data analysis and automation, obviously you have HubSpot AI or Zapier, and that's just a subset. But the key would be to master a diverse set of these tools across all of these areas, and that will allow you to have this comprehensive understanding and have this effective AI driven marketing strategy.
Yes, definitely. Those are all the key ones that I would say that definitely are needed to be learned. And these I feel like these tools not only supplement your resume, but are being sought after. As someone who is actively looking for opportunities as well, or had in the past after I graduated, what I was seeing in the requirements, and I feel like everybody's already seeing this, is these exact tools that we just mentioned: HubSpot, Salesforce CRM, talking about Zapier. There's a need to learn these tools, and these tools are being used in businesses. So I definitely take the step forward and learn these tools if you want
Absolutely.
to venture into this professionally. And cool. So now I want to go into the future. I want to look at the future, and I want to look at the future of AI. Where do you envision AI changing the future of work along these different industries?
Sure. We've already talked about a few of the basics for using AI to automate routine tasks to boost productivity. but also creating new roles and shifting the focus to higher level skills like creativity, problem solving, strategic thinking. And industries will see AI used for everything from enhancing creative design, personalizing customer service, accelerating discovery, optimizing logistics. And that's going to require a workforce that can continually adapt. And the way you're going to do that is you can't fight this. You have to embrace a continuous learning and developing this human machine collaboration skill. And it's really a mindset. This is what's going to happen. So you can get on the train or not.
Yes, they definitely got you can either influence this, or you can either get influenced by this and take action, or it'll run you over basically. But
Sure.
that's what I want to say. And then also I want to get into accessible learning models. What makes subscription models? What makes these learning models important for professionals today to learn?
Sure. When we're talking about trying to adapt with those human machine collaboration skills and transform your career, with GenAIx, you can really master AI skills. We have a complete AI learning ecosystem, courses, trends, community, opportunities, all in one platform. And for a small monthly fee, that gives you access and opens the door to all of that learning.
Yes. As a kind of final thought, I wanted to ask you what final advice would you offer to professionals who want to remain relevant and both competitive in this new AI-driven world?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And there could be a lot of things, but I guess if I had to put my finger on and just choose one tidbit, let's hark back to how this whole conversation started. If I didn't take action to morph from my traditional marketing role into digital marketing and e-commerce, and then morph again, driving the importance of social media for business, I would have been stuck in that entry level traditional marketing role for 20 years, just at that same level. You constantly have to challenge yourself and learn. So, my bit of advice is take action. Don't let life happen to you. You have to create your own future. But you have to start this today. I mean, like right now. So as soon as you finish this podcast, go to GenAIx, start learning. Go get them.
Thank you everyone for tuning in for AI Talks episode 13. Once again, thank you to our guest, Eric. Thank you so much for being on. And make sure to check us out on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. We will be posting videos every other week for the AI Talks podcast, and we have plenty of other opportunities to catch up with GenAIx.org. Make sure to check out our website as well for all those courses, and we will see you again next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.